Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
In Iraq, as the date nears for the resumption of dialogue between parliamentary parties to form a national unity government, violence took the lives of at least 24 people, including 15 policemen. Most of them were killed in a suicide attack that targeted the Interior Ministry Major Crimes Unit in Baghdad.
Violence in Iraq has not spared anyone, including a mother and her child. The result is death and injury. There has been an increase in the different methods used to shed Iraqis' blood. This scene has become the current reality in many areas of Iraq. In an area that appears to have been carefully selected, armed assailants targeted the headquarters of the Major Crimes Unit, which is responsible for following crimes related to terrorism. The operation began when a suicide bomber detonated his booby-trapped car near the building in the capital of Baghdad, killing 25 people and injuring 32 others, most of whom were security officials.
People living safely. They did not interfere in anything. Civilians were killed by these operations. Why did this happen? God will never accept this. None of the religions accept such actions.
The south of Baghdad also witnessed a terrorist operation when a booby-trapped car exploded near a popular market and the shrine of Imam Ali bin al-Hussein, killing 5 people and injuring 22 others, including policemen.
An ambulance was driving through here. The ambulance stopped and started unloading the equipment. We were standing there. All of a sudden, we felt the attack, a strong attack.
The targeting of Iraqi security forces continued in another area, where 3 policemen were killed and 5 others were injured by a booby-trapped car that targeted their patrol in Bab al-Muathim, north of Baghdad. The policeman was also killed and 3 others injured in the Iskandariya neighborhood by a roadside bomb that targeted their patrol. The escalation of violence in Iraq coincides with the nearing of the scheduled date for dialogue between the parliamentary parties to form a national unity government. All this comes at a time when security is what is demanded most by Iraqi citizens.
Dozens of tribal leaders in the area of Babel signed an agreement in good faith with the Iraqi army. The agreement calls for the cooperation with the security agency to confront terrorism in all its forms. Following the signing of this agreement, the tribes handed over to the Iraqi army 8 terrorist suspects responsible for a number of criminal terrorist actions in the province.
After the Iraqi army carried out raids in the areas of Jubail, Mahawil, and Dulaimi and arrested a number of suspects, the tribal leaders of the area signed an agreement with the army in which the residents of the area promised to hand over suspects voluntarily. According to the agreement, the army in turn agreed not to raid their areas.
As a result of the raids and search campaigns in the area of Jubail and specifically in Dulaimi, there was an agreement between the army and the tribal leaders of the area to prevent further search and raid campaigns.
This agreement, in good faith, is the first of its kind. The residents and tribal leaders handed over 8 suspects to the Iraqi army forces in order to show goodwill and begin a new phase to secure these areas.
The first thing the tribal leaders did after the signing was handing over the people who were suspected of terrorism. Thank God, they were surrendered to the Iraqi army forces. The security forces are interrogating them and releasing those who have no links to terrorism.
بالتحقيق معهم وإخراج الذين لم يتورطوا واتهموا بالإرهاب.
The Americans who attended this meeting confirmed that the tribal leaders have gained the trust of the Iraqi army in order to strengthen security and stability in Iraq.
Sure, I think this meeting.
I think that this meeting will help to increase the confidence in the Iraqi forces. This is a great victory for the Iraqis. The local Iraqis have the faith and trust in the Iraqi army. They have full capabilities to help and exchange information in order to arrest terrorists and wanted suspects.
The handover of the suspects, along with the signing of the agreement, are clear proof of the capabilities of the Iraqi army to take security steps and its ability to take appropriate measures to achieve security and stability so as to keep our families safe.
To shed more light on the security measures that were taken by the Interior Minister, our colleague Jalbani spoke with General Ali Ghalib, the Deputy Interior Minister.
My question is, after the end of the visiting season and when the visitors have returned to the city of Baghdad, security violations were committed. You know the source and the area of these violations. Do you think that the security in these areas cannot be controlled by the Interior Ministry and security forces?
الحقيقة أن السيد وزير الداخلية الأستاذ باقر الزبيدي قد أشرف ميدانيا على تنفيذ جزء كبير من خطة أمن عاشوراء خطة أمن زر الأربعينية في كربلاء بشكل مباشر وبشكل دقيق.
Actually, the Minister of Interior, Bakr al-Zubaydi, directly and carefully oversaw on the ground the major security plans for Al-Ashura holiday in Karbala. He also oversaw part of the security plan in Babel. After looking at the security breaches that took place in Karbala with the launching of 3 mortar shells in the area, and after investigating the site and looking at the size of the crater created by the bombing, we concluded that there has been a development in the technology of the mortar shells. It appears that the terrorists use modern technology in this criminal act. We must analyze this case so we can preempt their future cowardly acts. Relating to the security violations that took place against the visitors to the holy sites, these security breaches happened while the visitors were on their way through Baghdad to the holy sites. In both cases, the security breaches were caused by the lack of security.
هذا الخرق حصل أيضا ابتداء أثناء مرورهم في بغداد. أيضا حصل اعتداء على قسم من الزوار. نقول أن الخرق حصل في الحالتين لوجود فراغ أمني في تلك المناطق التي تحرك منها الزوار الكرام.
Iraqi President Jalal Talabani supports talks between U.S. and Iran, saying that this will serve the interest of the Iraqi people. Members of the United Iraqi Alliance also agree. They supported Abdel Aziz Al-Hakim's call for holding direct talks between U.S. and Iran. But the Muslim Scholar Association was opposed to these talks because they would legitimize the Iranian intervention in Iraq at the international level. Other parties share that view, such as the Iraqi Accordance Front and the Iraqi List. We leave you with a report from Reina Al-Taner.
The head of the Higher Council for the Islamic Revolution, Abdel Aziz Al-Hakim, generated mixed reactions when he called on Iran to hold direct talks with the U.S. over Iraq. The Iraqi President, Jalal Talabani, supported the calls to have talks between the two countries and revealed that he tried to achieve the same objective during a recent visit he made to the Islamic Republic of Iran. Talabani said he tried to open a dialogue between the American ambassador to Iraq, Zalmay Khalilzad, and Iranian officials. Talabani said that Hakim's calls follow previous efforts.
I support this dialogue and I worked towards making it happen. So I did not only support it. Abdel Aziz Al-Hakim has urged the Iranian leadership, and the Iranian leadership responded positively, and we thank it for the calls of Abdel Aziz Al-Hakim.
Talibani expressed willingness to mediate between the Americans and Iranians on the subject of Iraq if he was asked to do so. He said that Iraq has friendly relations with both countries.
I called for improving the American-Iranian relations on all levels. It is not in the interest of the Middle East region for a large country like Iran to continue having tense relations with a superpower country like the US. We have a dilemma. We have an old friendship with Iran, and we also have a strong friendship with the Americans. So we are between a rock and a hard place.
Members of the United Iraqi Alliance supported Abdulaziz Hakim's calls. Mr. Riyad Jawad Taqi said that any improvement of relations between the U.S. and neighboring countries will be helpful to Iraq. He added that this dialogue will happen in the next few days.
بالنسبة لإيران نحن نريد أن ننأى بأنفسنا أن ننأى بالعراق أن يكون مسرح.
We do not want Iraq to become the battlefield for countries to settle their own disputes. We are impressed with the American and Iranian positive response, and this dialogue will become a reality in the coming days, and this will serve Iraq's interests.
وستكون في الأيام القادمة تفعيل لهذه المبادرة التي إن حصلت هي شيء يخدم العراق.
Spokesman for the political office of the Fadila party, Hassan al-Shimri, acknowledged the presence of foreign influence in Iraq and said that creating a balance between these influences is a good step. However, he warned not to let Iraq become a battlefield for countries to fight each other over their own interests.
فمن وجهة نظري الشخصية وبملاحظتي للتأثير الدولي في العراق المتمثل بالولايات المتحدة الأمريكية
My personal opinion based on my observation, the American and British influence in Iraq and the regional influence of neighboring countries such as Iran and Syria is there, and no one can deny that. Therefore, creating a balance between these influences is a good step. The Hakim calls helps establish this balance, which serves the interests of the Iraqi people. However, we must be careful and not let Iraq and the Iraqi people get accustomed to serving the interests of the Islamic Republic of Iran or the interests of the US.
أعتبرها خطوة جيدة، ولكن علينا أن ننتبه أن لا يكون العراق والشعب العراقي ساحة لتحقيق مصالح الجمهورية الإسلامية الإيرانية أو مصالح الولايات المتحدة.
The Muslim Scholars Association did not positively receive Hakim's call on Iran to have direct talks with the US. It released a statement today that this would legitimize the Iranian intervention in Iraq on the international level. They also claim that this is completely in violation of Iraq's sovereignty.
The UN Security Council is expected to discuss today the report of Nicholas Michel, the Under-Secretary General for Legal Affairs, regarding the International Tribunal to try suspects of the February 14th assassination. Michel submitted his report on Monday to UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, who then transferred it to members of the Security Council. The report highlights the results of discussions between the UN and Lebanese authorities regarding the establishment of a tribunal of international character. France supported Annan's suggestion for the establishment of a mixed court. Meanwhile, Washington welcomed Michel's report but continued to criticize Syria. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, John Bolton, said that although Syria withdrew its troops from Lebanon, the intelligence apparatus was still present in Lebanon and threatened the Lebanese. The International Tribunal will take time, as not all participants want to participate in good faith. Comments made by attorney at law Youssef Mawad, who stressed on the importance that the tribunal's process should have an Arabic language so as to allow all Arabs to follow its process. In an interview with Future Television, Mawad said one question remaining was whether the tribunal, which will be a Lebanese and international team, will accept Beirut's death penalty legislation or not.
It won't be bad to have foreign magistrates to ensure that a due process of law is going to be followed. Now the Lebanese magistrates, now that there's no more any Syrian hegemony, can do the best job. These people are professional people and are above any suspicion. In my opinion, this trial should have taken place in Lebanon. It was the only way to see the amount of terrorism certain parties impose on us. Unfortunately, again, for security reasons, and security reasons alone, this is going to take place somewhere else in the world. But still, it's a very important thing. It might give us an idea of what happened in Lebanon for about 15 years of total hegemony of Syrians on Lebanese administration and justice.
No agreement was reached during yesterday's national dialogue, with the main sticking point being the ongoing presidential issue. As the third session was opened, it was only a matter of time before it closed, with the participants reaching one consensus to once again adjourn the gathering until Monday, with the agenda also including Hezbollah's arms. Meanwhile, MP Hariri took the opportunity to respond to MP Michel Aoun's latest comments, refusing to be compared to his father's killers, and vowed to step out of dialogue if such accusations persisted. Yuna Tayara reports.
This time around, no agreements were reached during the third round of national dialogue, which resumed and ended yesterday. The fate of President Emil Lahoud topped its agenda. The session started with head of the future bloc in parliament, MP Saad al-Hariri, slamming earlier statements made by MP Michel Aoun, who said that roundtable present at the roundtable were representations of, quote, Rustum Ghazali, one with the money and another one with the political feudalism. Hariri stressed that no one could compare him to the killer of his slain father, Rafiq al-Hariri, and hinted he would withdraw from the session if such remarks persisted. The head of the Free Patriotic Movement denied having attacked MP Hariri and MP Walid Jumblat, adding that his statements were published out of context. Following the session, House Speaker Nabih Berri told reporters a consensus had not yet been reached and the talks would resume on Monday. Berri added that the subject of Lahoud was discussed in depth and in all its aspects as participants expressed themselves frankly. Berri stressed, however, that the dialogue was postponed, allowing each side to study the matter in order to open the way for a consensus on the matter. According to Berri, participants want balanced relations between Lebanon and Syria based on the establishment of diplomatic relations and embassies, as well as the demarcation of their common borders. For his part, MP Hariri said all participants were aware that a crisis was present and all were determined to end it. Aoun, meanwhile, said that the presidential issue was not yet resolved, adding that the solution does not only reside in the ousting of Lahoud or by electing another president. He did not elaborate. On another note, Jumblat stressed that the March 14th alliance was maintaining the same political stance it had since February 14. Jumblat reiterated that Lebanon would not have peace, security and freedom as long as the Syrian regime remained a dictatorship. Jumblat demanded that all perpetrators who committed crimes against both the Lebanese and Syrian people be tried.
Just 5 days before Israelis go to the polls in the 17th Knesset elections, and here to bring us the latest from the campaign trail is IBS Knesset correspondent Dan Diker. Dan.
Thanks, John. Well, there are many frayed nerves among Knesset candidates ranked low on their party list who are hoping to make it into the 17th Knesset. At least Shas MK Yair Peretz no longer has to worry about that, though he certainly has other worries today. He resigned from his position as Shas lawmaker following his conviction this morning of falsely obtaining an academic degree from Burlington University. The decision was handed down by the Tel Aviv Magistrates Court. The state prosecution has asked the court to give Peretz a suspended jail sentence and declare that his crime involved moral turpitude. If the court agrees to the prosecution's request, Peretz, who was number 14 on the Shas list, would be banned from serving in Parliament for 7 years. Sentencing is scheduled to take place this coming Sunday. Well, pre-election jitters in the Likud, as well as faction chairman Gideon Sa'ar last night, called on all right-wing parties to publicly refuse to sit in a government led by acting Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. Sa'ar's call was a response to Olmert's interview with Channel 10 last night, in which he said that any potential coalition partner would have to accept Kadima's plan to withdraw unilaterally from parts of the West Bank. Following Olmert's remarks, Israel Beitenu chairman Avigdor Lieberman said that Olmert's statements are standard pre-election fare. He added that following elections, there will be new motifs and new songs. Lieberman has rejected Olmert's West Bank disengagement plan as a dangerous threat to Israel. It seems that the ultra-Orthodox parties are also coming out against Kadima's precondition. Shas Chairman Eli Yishai said today that his party opposes additional unilateral pullouts. He added that his party prefers a right-wing coalition. Nonetheless, sources say Shas is already preparing for coalition talks with Kadima, and Yishai himself will head the party's negotiating team. Meanwhile, United Torah Judaism Chair MK Yaakov Litzman said UTJ's traditional position is against disengagement. Litzman added that UTJ MKs had voted against the Gaza withdrawal in accordance with their rabbinical authorities. The party's coalition negotiations would also be brought to the rabbis for approval. Meanwhile, Labor Chairman Amir Peretz was busy delivering campaign jabs today. He and top labor officials were touring a group of northern settlements together with the sister of slain Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin at his side. Peretz said Israel Beiteinu's Lieberman should not be part of any government coalition. He added that anyone who advocates transferring Arabs from Israel cannot be in the government. Well, far-right-wing Herut Party head Michael Kleiner received an unpleasant reaction today to his initiative to offer financial compensation to Israeli Arab citizens who would agree to leave the country. Kleiner and other Herut Party activists were surrounded and beaten by dozens of Arab residents of Jaffa shortly after entering the area and trying to convince local residents to accept handfuls of cash that the right-wing group attempted to give out as a pre-election gimmick. But the plan quickly soured, backfired, and after a series of exchanges followed, Kleiner and local residents were hit with fists and bottles. Luckily, Kleiner and the rest of his group were able to flee the area on foot and probably won't be back anytime soon.
أكد جميل المجدلاوي عضو المكتب السياسي
Jamil al-Majdalawi, lawmaker and member of the Popular Front, stressed that his party supports the Hamas movement and its upcoming government in the face of mounting Israeli and international pressure. Al-Majdalawi explained that this gesture of support does not cancel out the differing positions of the Popular Front and other parliamentary bodies.
ميزت بين الحد الذي تقبله كقاسم مشترك يمكنها من المشاركة في الحكومة، وهذا لم تجده الجبهة في البرنامج المقترح من الإخوة في حركة حماس في عدد من النقاط، أبرزها وهي القضية التي ركزنا عليها كثيرا.
The program proposed by Hamas will not enable the Popular Front to be an equal partner in the upcoming government. The front disagrees with Hamas on several points. We have discussed one of them many times in the past, namely that the program does not contain a clear statement that the PLO is the only legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. But there is a difference between participating in this government and supporting it in the face of the pressure placed upon it by Israel and the United States. We see this as blackmail, and the Palestinians have been subjected to this pressure and blackmail for too long, especially in the Gaza Strip in the last few weeks. This is why we wanted to send a clear message to everyone, including the Israeli enemy and the United States, that in the face of this blackmail and pressure, we are standing beside our brothers in the Hamas movement. We do not want others to think that the differences between our opinions mean that we agree with this pressure campaign forced on our people or that we stand behind it.
لهم مثل هذا الضغط أو يمكن أن يجدوا من يتساوق معهم بأي مستوى من المستويات بالضغط الذي يحاولوا أن يفرضونه على شعبنا.
من جانبه اعتبر محمود الزهار.
For his part, Mahmoud al-Zahar considered dismantling the executive committee for the PLO after the Palestinians made their choice clear in the recent legislative elections.
In effect, the PLO has been dismantled. The street now makes the decisions as seen by the election results. So, is it reasonable for Hamas movement to take the Palestinian Liberation Organization as a point of reference when it has been essentially dismantled?
In another development, the Legislative Council urged the Iraqi government to protect Palestinian refugees in Iraq after the National Authority received messages from the refugees asking for protection from international bodies. The Palestinian Legislative Council said in a report that the number of Palestinians killed in Iraq at the hands of the Iraqis has reached 60 civilians. The Council is urging the United Nations and Secretary General Kofi Annan to ask the Iraqi government and the U.S. U.S. occupation forces to abide by the 4th Geneva Convention, which protects civilians during war. It also asked the Khartoum summit to look into the issue of Palestinians in Iraq and the detainment of hundreds of Palestinian refugees at the Iraqi-Jordanian border. The Jordanian and Iraqi governments stressed the need to find an immediate solution for the Palestinians who are stranded at the Iraqi-Jordanian border.
مشاهدينا نعتذر لحضراتكم عن هذا الخلل الفني الطارئ ونستكمل نشرة التاسعة.
March 22nd has been designated as the International Day of Water. Meanwhile, Israel continues to impose an aggressive policy aimed at controlling Palestinian water resources.
المياه الفلسطينية بكل الوسائل.
It has been expected for a long time that the day will come when there will be a major dispute over Palestinian water resources. Israel is very determined to continue its control over water resources in the Palestinian territories, which may lead to what some call war of water. Israel's plan is aimed at controlling water resources in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Israel currently controls water distribution facilities in the region and consumes more than its fair share of water per capita in comparison to that of the Palestinians.
تمنع الجانب الفلسطيني من الوصول إلى المصادر الفلسطينية المائية.
Israel does not allow the Palestinian Authority to control water resources in its territories. It also hampers efforts by the Joint Water Committee to build new water reservoirs and wells. It tries to delay water projects. According to the 1995 interim stage agreement between Israel and the Palestinians, both sides must jointly agree on water projects. This agreement, which calls on subsidizing 70 to 80 million square meters of water to the Palestinians, was supposed to be implemented completely no later than the year 2000. However, we are in 2006 and Israel gave us only 50% of the agreed upon quantity.
Israel is carrying out a well-planned strategy aimed at implementing its aggressive campaign in the Palestinian territories. The latest episode in this elaborate scheme was the building of the separation wall, which is sitting at the heart of Palestinian water resources. It is suffocating the West Bank on one side and choking the Gaza Strip on the other side. There is interdependence on water resources between the West Bank and the Gaza Strip.
الحكومة الإسرائيلية قامت بعمل الجدار في مناطق
The Israeli government built the separation wall near the western reservoir, which is known for its high volume of water. It supplies the north and south of the West Bank. Israel confiscated Palestinian land, drove many families out, and currently controls more than 70% of the water reservoirs in the West Bank.
أكثر من 70% أو أكثر من اللي هي كمية المياه الجوفية في الضفة الغربية.
The water crisis is escalating, especially since Palestinian water resources are scarce and the quality of drinking water is poor. Palestinians need to address this problem.
مطلوب على رأس الأولويات هو حث المجتمع الدولي على مساعدتنا في تحقيق والوصول إلى حقوقنا المائية.
As a top priority, we should urge the international community to help the Palestinians reclaim their water rights. We also must build reservoirs and create water purification projects for drinking and irrigation purposes. We must also build dams and wells to take advantage of rainwater. In addition, we must promote water conservation.
كذلك نشر برامج التوعية وعلى أساس ترشيد استهلاك المياه.
Daily challenges and conspiracies are being hatched against the Palestinian people. Palestinians are haunted by water shortages. When will the water crisis be resolved? In the meantime, Palestinians may die of thirst or due to sickness from drinking polluted water.
The views expressed on Mosaic are not those of Link TV or its sponsors, but of the broadcasters themselves. Mosaic is made possible by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, which promotes journalism excellence worldwide and invests in the vitality of 26 U.S. communities, and the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Additional support is provided by the Firedoll Foundation and Henry and Virgilia Dakin. This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. For a transcript of this program, to watch streaming video, or for instructions on how to receive Link TV in the United States, visit linktv.org.